वीडियो और आपका आज की वीडियो में
स्वागत है।
आज जो वीडियो हम देखने जा रहे हैं वो है सेकंड पार्ट पॉडकास्ट का और टाइटल पहले पूछेंगे मौसम से।
टाइटल है इंडिया 2025 करंट अफेयर्स जियोपॉलिटिक्स एंड इकोनॉमी। डॉक्टर राधा कृष्णा पिल्लाई दी रणवीर शो 165 एपिसोड।
तो चलिए देख लेते हैं ये वीडियो, लेकिन इससे पहले
इस वीडियो के चैनल का ओरिजिनल लिंक आपको हमारी वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन में मिल जाएगा। सब्सक्राइब करें, लाइक करें, शेयर करें, फॉलो करें इनके चैनल को। उसके अलावा मैं ब्लॉगिंग चैनल का लिंक, इंस्टाग्राम का लिंक भी हमारी वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन में मिल जाएगा। सब्सक्राइब करें, लाइक करें, शेयर करें, फॉलो करें।
चलिए देख लेते हैं ये वीडियो।
Okay. Anyway, moving on to the next part, sir. What about bureaucracy? What are they thinking?
So bureaucracy has moved in very fast. So let me tell you this. They're also doing online meetings. So if a bureaucrat had to call a meeting, believe me, it was a physical meeting. Everybody would come and make. ठीक है, digital करो. They can have 5 meetings today.
So there's speed of execution.
Yes, you are absolutely right. So let me give an indication. One of the important parts of bureaucracy is also to collect tax. The revenue departments. You just look at it, the kind of a speed that we have in tax collection today, TDS and this and that. Very fortunately for India, we adapted to the digital economy very fast. And all bureaucrats are very efficient. They have their own challenges, no doubt about it. But because we were adapted to the digital economy or the digital way of working before the COVID, believe me, we are having the largest tax collection. We are spending also. So I would say that bureaucracy also has adapted to the speed and the policy making is happening. Yet not to the level that we were previously, but we are doing good.
What are they thinking? But because from what I've made of what you've said, bureaucrats basically build the country.
Yes.
They are like, you can say, national level laborers for
Yes.
building up India.
Yes.
So are they thinking of newer cities? Are they thinking of newer projects? Like what's happening?
Yeah. So there are 2 levels bureaucrats generally work with. One is at the policy level, which I told you they'll make the plans, but the second, the execution level. Initially, the execution level was happening within the government. So people used to work in PSUs, they used to be employed with the government, but that's not been a model that has been super successful. So today, bureaucrats are outsourcing things.
To like companies?
Companies, individuals, startups. So
Like, for example,
let me give an example, okay? So let's say the government, let's say the police department, okay, wants to create a video on, traffic awareness or cyber awareness. Initially, one person in the police department would make it, but today, no. So I would maybe call Ranveer and say, why don't you partner with us? Maybe your team does it, and they'll pay you for that. Believe me, you'll be surprised. Bureaucrats also officially pay consultants. So if you are going to a company and let's say you're getting a deal, you can also get it from the government because government wants to be efficient. And it's good to have somebody who's efficient outsourced rather than somebody within the government who is overburdened. Believe me, bureaucrats are overburdened, so much to do. So one of the things that the bureaucrats are doing is outsourcing their work to efficient people. Try that. It's called B2G model, business from government.
What I understood from what you even said about politicians is that even they outsource to teams.
Absolutely.
Because teams also outsource to private sector.
Absolutely.
So basically in the private sector, there's a lot of opportunity to work with the government if you actually go out looking for it.
You should. In fact, I would say please study on what is called the PPP model, public-private partnership. Okay, please do a lot of reading. Governments always gives out projects openly. You can bid for them. And if you're very good, you'll get invited. Let me tell you, one is the bidding process where you can see all the newspapers. They have this, ads coming up and saying that contracts, why don't you apply for it? That is a bidding process. In fact, the huge budgets of the government cannot be spent only by the government, right? You need efficient guys to come and execute. So social media is a big space, let me tell you. And there's funds for it and they will give you. I have got money from the government for conducting all these things officially, legally with tax being paid from my side. So I would suggest that, work with the government, respect the government. You will legally make money from the government also.
Military, sir.
Military is going through a very interesting phase of change. Okay, not only in India, globally. So initially, military was what we see in movies. It's like hard military across the borders, land, water, air force. So that's hard. Yes, definitely. But military now has gone to 3 levels. One is called the hard power of the military that you see with guns and missiles. The second is called cyber wars. Again, the third is called space wars. Our military is getting equipped to that level. So from the hard, which is very important at the basic level, we are going into cyber. So we'll see a lot of cyber wars already happening. There are cyber warriors now. Okay, so military is getting adapted. And of course, let's not forget space wars are also there. I remember when we were kids, we used to watch this called Star Trek and all these Avengers movies that you speak about. So I'm not talking about the aliens level, but definitely the geopolitics is coming to the level where space is going to be very major in military strategy. So I'm not an expert in cyber, neither in I would say a space part of it. I definitely contribute from the strategic part of it. So, what do you do?
But
So
even in the cyber and space part, you'll contribute.
so that's not my space.
Okay.
Because I'm not a cyber expert. But
Okay.
it's like, if you have a cyber warrior, you have to still tell him what to do. Please understand this. That's my space.
Yeah, we actually had a cybersecurity expert, Saket Modi, on the
Yes.
show, and I urge listeners to check out that podcast because it's very relevant to everybody. All of our cybersecurity can be compromised,
Yes.
and it's very important to be educated about that. It's actually a modern day skill set which a lot of people don't pay attention to. I'd also like to highlight the Ranveer Show clips. It's highlights of all these podcasts, like quick highlights. It's a new YouTube channel we started, so we're regularly uploading 2 podcasts a week. The highlights are on there. At least check out the highlights of that episode. But coming back to this conversation, sir, so I've had understanding about the cyber security aspect from Saket Modi, and what you're saying is exactly how it is. That even countries like China, countries like maybe Russia, all these countries which are perceived as, are they threats to India? What's happening there? Those countries also breeding like armies of hackers.
Yes.
And so is India.
Yes.
So there's a lot happening in that space, and this is almost becoming a new wing of the Indian military.
Yes.
Like Air Force, Navy, Army, and now cyber.
Yes.
Can you imagine a 16-year-old kid going for a hackathon, enjoys coding, learns bits of hacking, and then gets recruited by the Indian military? I'm pretty sure that's happening already.
It's already happening and we are ready for it.
But when it comes to space, what's the logic? Is it like you want to basically dominate physical areas in space using satellites or something like?
So again, I'm not an expert. I will not be able to comment on it, but I'll tell you what space is all about from my understanding, limited understanding. Today, all your communications are not just cyber, it's space. So, the communication that you get, the satellites. So today, as a policy of the government, okay, I'm talking about general policy. I'm not only talking about military policy. So we are sending a lot of satellites. ISRO, a lot of other DRDO, they're working a lot on that. So today there is a game happening. I'm not telling that it's a space war, but the number of satellites that you have out over there,
That determines power.
absolutely. And we are fortunate that, when previously our first astronaut went to space, Captain Rakesh Sharma, if you remember that era, and India actually got Asian Games hosted in our particular country first time. That was a change of power for us because we're very, very young at that global level. But today with space being on our side, and believe me, we don't even know the kind of a power that and the respect that we command at the global level. Of course, we have nuclear power with us. We have cyber power with her. The IT generation is with us. But let's not forget, we also have space power with us.
But so, okay, with the military, what else are they thinking? I know for a fact that they're very conscious of this whole China issue. Every single member of the Indian military is very aware of geopolitics in a much deeper way than the geopolitical experts we see on news channels also. But what is the actual Indian military thinking about, especially the whole China issue?
Okay, so let me put what is the role of military? Any military across the world, okay? It's not just India or any other country in the world. Military has got two primary roles, okay? One is across the border, okay? And of course, inside the border. So what does the military generally do? In one way, we are fortunate, we have not seen too much wars in our generation. Think about 1947, okay? Torn country into two parts, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, there was no food to eat. Half of your military was into, fighting and this and all those things. Fortunate in the last few years, of course, we have some border conflicts with Pakistan and China. All this is happening. But the major strength of the military is preparation for the unknown. So they are ready and we are always there. Yet if you look at what are they doing otherwise, one is preparation for the unknown that can come anytime. But they are amazing people. They are highly educated people. They also work on various other peacetime operations. So when a flood happens, okay, Okay, the first thing is that the government machinery, the bureaucrats will get into disaster management. But time comes, they have to give a call to an army, and there comes a tuck, 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 tuck. So believe me, our Indian army is not just working across the border; they are working inside the border. And let me also tell you, since I work with the military a lot, there is a lot of social awareness that they do. So let me give you an example. I was at a very interesting place in Gujarat called as INS Valsura, Indian Naval Ship Valsura. So the commanding officer is a great friend of mine. In that particular few days that I stayed over there, I was so touched by the human side of the Indian Army or the Indian Armed Forces. You know what they did? All the women of the naval forces, officers, they took out a car rally. They went to villages. Okay, they gave them televisions. They said, okay, please come and take admission in our schools. If you want, we can help you. They contributed financially, and they were actually telling the girls out over there, please come and join the Indian Armed Forces. So don't think that army just sitting over there waiting for an instruction कि अभी कभी war होगा. Believe me, they're very good human beings. They work with the society, and I'll tell you the kind of work that are done in COVID. We don't even realize that, and it is not only for the military people. They go out over there, talk to people, help them out. The good part about the army is that they're very detached people with a lot of sense of service to the country. What do you mean by detachment? Every army officer knows that death is around the corner anytime. So they live the best of the life, and the only purpose of their life is service for the country. And if you give them social service also, they do amazingly. The kind of schools that they run, the kind of projects that are, unfortunately, we don't even know about them. I would suggest that you get some army officers. I'm not even talking about what's happening against China and Pakistan. That's one part of it, that comes out in the media. But each of them is a human being who works for the society. Now, coming back to the second part of your question, what's happening? I think good news for Indian military. We're not small. We're the second largest armed forces in the world. That's not small. So from a country which was, roti kapda makan to now we are taken very seriously. Are we there? The answer is yes. Have we got it there? Bijig issue? Not yet. So that's where, probably we have to think, and I am doing a lot of deliberation. What is Bijig issue? Somebody who's at the world level. That's where geopolitics comes. So Army, Navy, Air Force, they're all working on geopolitical angles also now.
And we had Major General G.D. Bakshi on the show. The insight I got from him is that over the last 10 years or so, the Indian military has changed into kind of developing their own weapons and really powerful weapons. So there are great Indian engineering minds also working in the military.
True.
And he was urging, basically Indian youth who are capable of engineering and helping with building this infrastructure for the army. He was encouraging people to join hands with the Indian Armed Forces because that's actually what the country needs right now.
You're absolutely right. The Make in India, a lot of internal weapons are getting created, ships are getting created. We have the Mazgon dog. So I think it's a great moment for our country, especially for the youth. Please partner with our government project, especially the military. They're wanting good minds to come. My request is please join the armed forces. It is one space that we should I'm not telling you be a permanent army officer. There are short service commissions, maybe 2 years, 5 years, but get trained and contribute. They are part of our nation and we should take pride in the military.
So in the final one, politicians. What are politicians in the country thinking? Because honestly, the way it's looking on a national level, we know that the BJP is going to be in power for a very long time now. Primarily because there's no competition.
Yes.
That's the main reason. But what's your take on this whole situation?
India is in a golden era. Okay, and son, apna time aayega nahi, apna time aa chuka hai. Next 4 years is very, very important for us. 3 to 4 years.
Economically.
Everywhere. Be it economy, be it military, everything put together. Okay. Be it even business for that particular matter. Why I tell this is that if you follow me on Twitter and media, you will always see something like India, #India 2025. I don't know if you have noted that. People ask, what is India 2025? So I'll give a little bit of a spiritual dimension to it. Swami Vivekananda, he's a youth icon, by the way. 12th of January, it's coming soon. 12th of January is National Youth Day, the birthday of Swami Vivekananda. He said, in the year 2025, India will become the global power. We are there. Coming back, what are the politicians thinking? Fortunately, our politicians are thinking in the right direction. We are there, out over there. I know so many politicians. In fact, I had a meeting with an MP. Very interesting. So they had gone for this, many of the conferences that happen abroad, and India is their representative. Believe me, Indian politicians are taken very seriously at the geopolitical level. So it is no more another country, you know. Now they say, and I've seen this, that India is taken seriously to that extent. Ki, "Aap baithiye, I want to listen to your view." And we are no more a market. We are the people who have the power to say something and will be heard. Initially it was okay, maybe 180 countries, one more country. Now we are among the top 10. But let me tell you, we are now among the top 3 to be taken seriously. No international policies can be made without the input of India today. And that's the power. So next 3 years, what we do, the politicians are super careful, because when we go out over there and invite people to invest in India, look at the numbers. They are coming. And we need to capitalize on this. In fact, I have a request to everyone. Let Indians take the global opportunity that's right in front of us. Be it in business, be it in economics, I don't know, whatever be your space. We have arrived and the politicians are the face of it. They're doing their work very well.
Okay, so we have to move into the Twitterverse round.
Yeah.
I think the audience got a nice flavor of what this year is going to be all about.
Wow.
So this is sort of a rapid fire round. This is like questions sent from Twitter. You're one of our TRS All-Stars, sir.
Wow.
I think after this episode, especially, people are going to ask you a different sort of genre of questions. Because
I'm ready.
there were things you said here which I didn't even know about you. Which I didn't know about you despite knowing you for like, I think 3-4 years now. But anyway, the first question is from Manish Pandey. Would like Radha sir to touch upon the new economic status India has and where is it going to go. So actually, okay, do you have like some sort of insight on how the world is looking at India and what's actually happening with the economy? And I ask you this again because you work with economists, you work with the government, and I again feel news channels will direct the narrative according to their own agenda. So what's the neutral perspective? What's happening?
So at the economic angle, let me tell you, a very great person everybody should follow. His name is Ashish Chauhan. Okay, he heads BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange. Now, what else can we talk about the Indian economy from a perspective of the stock market? Because that's your first sign to the world that we have arrived. In the last 2 years, it's just gone up. So I would say that there is a lot of confidence level within the country. I can tell you, stock market is only one of the indicators, but a major indicator. I can tell you other side of it. And I mentioned this in my discussion also. Our tax collections have gone up. Your generation, okay, when you start up a company, it is not about avoiding taxes anymore. It's planning your taxes. So one of the biggest things that we can see, especially that has happened, is GST. So there was a lot of resistance, and Modi ji made sure it happened and all those things. So all the VAT is gone. It's very simple, right? And it's your mind is more focused on building your business rather than worrying about tax evasions now. So do your tax planning, no doubt about it. Our government coffers are getting better and better. At the international level, we have arrived. Now coming back, Indian economy is doing decent. That doesn't mean all your economic problems are solved. Coming back to the question that Manish asked, is what's going to happen? We are already the world's fastest growing economy globally. Globally, I read, Mint and Economic Times and Financial Express every single day. Because Chanakya was very clear. A country without economic power is not powerful at all.
So when we talk about international economics, it's basically how much money are you earning versus how much money.
So there are a lot of parameters to that. So like import, export, and then inflation. It also depends upon your savings. Then of course, very important parameter is also your currency rates. So, $1 against whatever, 78. How can you do that? So a lot of factors matter internationally because it's not just about one parameter. So at the global economic level, India definitely is growing, but we're still not arrived yet. So I didn't say, most of our economies, especially RBI, State Bank of India, and all these major banks, they're also reconciling because of the digital era that's happening.
So a lot of different units of experts work together.
Yes,
they do drive the economy upwards.
Absolutely.
And when we say drive the economy upwards, basically boils down to how much money the country is making and how much we are growing,
absolutely,
how many jobs we are creating.
Absolutely. And the last point which I'd like to say is, let us not look at a global economics only from a country's perspective. Today we are an interdependent economy globally. So when I'm using an Apple phone, okay, A part of my money goes to America also. A part of my thing goes to maybe another country where it's manufactured, and a part of it goes to my country. So it's a very complex process where I cannot just be myself, yet I should not forget myself. So it's actually an interdependent world. So a goods manufactured in one place may have an R&D department in another place, sold in another place, and post sale service can be in another country. So we have to look into various factors, but not forget India.
Okay. So next question is okay. Ayush Bajaj asked an interesting question because 2022 the flavors current affairs. Hopefully, if we find the right guess.
Yes.
What is the best platform to study about current affairs in an unbiased way?
Okay, so the best way to study current economics is read 3 different newspapers. Okay, that's very, very important. And somewhere I still believe, because I come from that generation where physical newspaper still matters. So today we have a lot of digital stuff coming, and unfortunately one thing about digital information is, again, algorithms play a major role. Okay, it's because suppose I want to Google something and saying that, I know those feeds are going to keep coming. I don't want them. Let's say I want to have an information about X politician. Now that every time he goes somewhere, it just keeps coming. That's not interest for me. So for me, I read 3 to 4 newspapers every single day.
Wow, that's the first time someone has said that, and that makes a lot of sense. And I'm coming at the audience as a social media entrepreneur. This is so accurate that your algorithms will manipulate exactly what you see. Therefore, it's important to stick to the analog world in this case, because this is your funnel for whatever's happening in the outside world.
Absolutely.
All the information that's happening, you need to know the 360-degree perspective rather than the perspective that just kind of elevates your own views or your own hatred or your own love.
Absolutely. So let me put it this way. Why do I read, 5 newspapers a day?
To keep your head neutral.
Absolutely. And the thing is that I read stuff which is not my choice also. For example, let's say Free Press Journal or Times of India or Economic Times or Mint. Now there are 4-5 papers, and I read a Malayalam newspaper also every day, by the way.
To just get perspective.
Absolutely, and it's so rich. The half an hour to 45 minutes I read every day makes me know what's happening in the real world, or at least the reported world. It's not just what I want to know or what the Google is wanting me to know.
Wow. In an era of personalization, some things shouldn't be personal.
It should not be. And I can tell you this, if you look at any newspaper and there is maybe a section on global news, I'll tell you, you get so much rich perspective about maybe China or Pakistan or Israel or Russia, which will not be there when I Google it. So they may hide or maybe want to input something which they want. So my suggestion is that, for neutrality, go into physical world as much as possible, but don't forget the digital world.
Wow. And read a variety of news.
Variety. Because again, there are newspapers which are, run by certain politicians. Then you'll get their agenda. That's why multiple perspectives is important.
Okay. Arihant Jain asks, is the idea of Akhand Bharat an impossible goal? Will it really happen?
I don't think it's an impossible goal.
What is this idea of Akhand Bharat?
Okay. So first of all, let's understand this word called Akhanda Bharat, and typically what historians speak about or what's happening in Indian civilization discussions. So Akhanda means undivided. Akhanda, without division. Bharat is, of course, a great country. Geographically speaking, India is not the country that we see about from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and all that. So we were having a land right up to Afghanistan and maybe a little bit ahead also on this side, Bangladesh, the modern, all part of. So when India was under probably that kind of a space of Akhanda Bharat, we had Pakistan as a part of our country, Bangladesh, and then Afghanistan for that matter. And, one of the interesting parts is that borders keep changing every generation. Okay, so it's not only every country across the globe, Russia was there, Soviet Union split. So this borders as a concept will keep evolving and changing. So China is trying to, let's say, take over this part and that part. So they want to make maybe a global China over a period of 20 years, So they have some spots across the globe. So my concept of Akhanda Bharat is not just geographical or physical land, but it's also cultural. So I can actually have an Indian with a US passport. I can have an Indian who are actually staying in Japan. So coming back to the question, is the concept of Akhanda Bharat possible? It's 100% possible if you want to take the route and saying, let's capture all the land. It's possible. Then you require a different strategy for it. But as a teacher, my own thing about Akhanda Bharat is that maybe 7-8 billion people across the world, can they at least understand and respect Indian Vedic culture? Please understand, Vedic culture is global culture. It teaches you about healthy life. It teaches about spirituality. It is not about just one community, one religion, one tradition. I believe if everybody in the world sits and meditates, he's a part of Akhanda Bharat.
Okay, so last question is from a teammate, Sanchit Keswani. He's asked, according to you, because you've worked with politicians, who is a good politician according to you? Do you want to name anyone, or like do you want to?
Please understand, in our great Indian culture, okay, it is the qualities that makes a person. So every person has got plus and minuses. Nobody is picture perfect. So let me tell you 3 qualities that makes a great politician. Okay, first things first. Praja sukhe sukham rakyah praja naam cha hite hitam. Chanakya says this. जो politician, जो leader अपने प्रजा के लिए काम करता है, वही अच्छा राजा बन सकता है. First quality, thinking about the people first, not your welfare but the people's welfare. Second, a good politician is the one who abides to the quality of vriddha sanyogaha. He takes advice from somebody else, wiser people. Politicians are in power, and if they don't listen to others, they become dictators. So in our great culture, every great leader had a guru. For Chandragupta, we had Chanakya. A good politician should take guidance from the wise. And the third and the most important thing is tyaga, the ability to give up. Our problem with both politicians right now, they want to grow from power to power. In our podcast always, a corporator wants to become an MLA wants to become an MP, and then CM and PM. No, when are you going to stop? So the day you become a politician, please plan your exit also. Not run away. Fulfill your duties. And our great culture says the leader is the one who creates more leaders. Leader is not the one who creates more followers. So whoever has these 3 qualities is an ideal politician, an ideal leader for me.
But what is the realistic picture looking like over the next 5 years according to you from a cultural perspective? Because we have to address this when we're talking about politics.
It's an advantage and it's a danger also. Okay, advantage why? Because India is talking about the ancient culture that we have to reunite ourselves. So everything is getting Indianized. So education system में भी अपने heroes को लेके आ रहे हैं. Not about the foreigners who invaded us. So the advantage is that India is waking up to Indianness. But unfortunately, we cannot define India as only a part of one particular community. See, I'll tell you, I've been doing a lot of study myself. When we talk about India being invaded, okay, you'll be surprised. All the things that came from the, maybe Alexander era till the British and the Mughals and the Portuguese and all, you'll be surprised. They're only in the top part of India. Okay.
As in?
So if you look at the UP, Bihar and Delhi and all those things, just go below. You'll be surprised. The same time when the invasions were happening, down over there, we were expanding globally. Vikramaditya, the Chola empires, in Martanda Varma in Kerala, okay? Same time the invasions happening in the north, India is not only north or south, India is a combination. So we were actually sending traders and we built temples, huge temples in Cambodia.
You're saying the geographical south of the country was doing very well when the north was getting invaded.
Absolutely. The history we are being taught is only about invasions. It is one part of it. But the thing is that down south below, the trade was happening. Singapore, if you go to China, you go to Malaysia, all those where Indians were expanding in the same era. But we only talk about it partly and say, okay, your biceps are growing, but what's going to happen to your tummy and your legs? So it's very important to look at it holistically. So I think what's important is that India doesn't think only the way we're taught in textbooks. So you spoke about going to UP and Bihar and talking about, let me tell you, go down to South in Kerala, you'll be surprised. There are actually people who's, okay, for example, I'll give you an example of Kerala, let's say for that matter. Yes, there are different religions in Kerala also, but they have some common festivals. The 2 festivals from Kerala, okay, Vishu and Onam are not religious festivals. Do you know this? So there they come to, they have their opinions, they have their debates and whatever, every state now that's happening. But what's very important, our great rishis said, in spite of the difference, what is the commonality? Okay, so yes, there were problems in India, but I think we cannot look at the youth being radicalized, but I believe the youth should be logicalized. So radicalization is mine, not versus you. No, this country is a flavor of so many things. Today, a Parsi or a Jew is also equally an Indian. You cannot say a Parsi came from abroad and now, no, they are the greatest contributor to this particular country. The leftover Jews are doing so much for this particular country also. So I think it's not just Hindu, Muslims or Christians or Jews or Parsis or Sikh. But the thing is that that's where our debates have to go on. Our problem is that we have diverted ourselves so much into fragments. It can be a UP versus another state or this state. No, it cannot be. And I want to just end up this on a New Year note and a very important thing. Let us not forget, one of the things that can destroy this country, we're not even talking about this openly. It's called drugs. We don't take it seriously on any of the discussions. Let me tell you a story and wind up over there. Bihar was the intellectual capital of our country at one point of time. Chanakya came from there. Do you know how Bihar got destroyed? Not many people know about it. Not many people know about it, and I want to bring it. I want each person watching this to actually read and find out. It is not an old story. It just happened around 100 years ago. Till that, Bihar was a very great place. Darbhanga is a place where some of the best Rajas came from. What happened in the last 300 years? Sorry, 100 years. Not many people know. There was an opium trade that was started between India and China by the Britishers. They put up 2 factories in Bihar. And one generation, the whole thing got into drugs, the opium. And the whole intellectual tradition got destroyed. Bihar. Okay? And we're talking about what westernization is. Drugs can destroy a complete culture, a complete youth and a complete... It took Mahatma Gandhi to go and ban opium. Are you aware of this? So when we're talking about all these cultural things, education, what's the kind of habits that you get? At one end, we are talking about meditation. The other end, we are talking about New Year celebrations in the pub. I'm not against pub. Okay, please understand this. But the point over here is that, do you know the menace that can happen with the drug economy that's happening around? Today, we are talking about the economy of, BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. But there is a dirty economy that happens right below our belly. We're not even aware. We don't talk about this openly. I want the youth to be aware of it. Every college principal that I speak, every college principal, by the way, being in Mumbai University, I have direct access to 850 college principals, not 1 or 2. Everybody is worried about the youth getting into drug.
It's primarily cannabis, right? Like marijuana.
No, different forms.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that vices can destroy a complete knowledge tradition. Vices that happened. Bihar was where Jainism, Buddhism, all the philosophies of Chanakya came out, and we were rich in tradition. So my request over here is that as we're discussing about religion, let's also discuss something that can destroy this particular country, the dirty economy that we're talking about.
I think you're highlighting addiction of different forms. I would even put junk food in that same category, honestly.
Junk food is something that can destroy to some extent, but drugs can destroy a complete civilization. It's a different level.
Yeah, I think at its core, the leadership of the country, as in the future leaders, which I believe strongly are listeners of this podcast, need to be in a self-improvement mentality. And that just holding on to that
spirituality is the only solution for that.
Yeah. Spirituality is one of the last stages of self-improvement, I feel. It can be an early stage if you wish, but for a lot of people, I think they'll go through physical fitness.
I disagree over here. Because according to our great Indian culture, spirituality, if not introduced in the beginning, you cannot get it in the end of your life. Okay, so it's like, पूरा जिंदगी भर भोग किया, अभी आखिरी 65 years में योग करेगा, हो ही नहीं सकता. It has to be introduced in the beginning only.
I completely agree with you, sir. The issue is people reject it. People my age reject it early on, and it takes.
No, you're not rejected. You never got introduced.
Yeah, maybe introduced in the right way.
And in a nice, positive way. See, spirituality is a solution for every problem in the world because it makes you internally strong. Our problem is that 99% of the people believe spirituality is post-retirement activity. See, my father is a yogi. I mean, the way he introduced me to spirituality, today look at it. By the way, other kind of an impression people have is that those who are spiritual are not worldly successful. Okay? So please understand that spirituality makes you worldly successful also. So all our great Rajas were actually spiritual. Krishna was a Raja, Mahavir, Buddha, they were all kings. So if you want to be a king and a truly a great and ideal king, you better get into spirituality early the better. Meditation, rituals, practices, traditions, all are important. But coming back to the point is that we need to save a generation by introducing them into the right role models and spiritual leaders as early as possible.
I think we are getting there gradually.
We are getting there.
At least I can see the leadership at the top in corporates, in startups, in all sorts of organizations having some sort of spiritual inclination.
Yes.
You know, be it even the army. I've spoken to so many people from the armed forces who have this sort of.
But why don't we talk about it mainstream?
It's getting there, sir. Gradually.
Okay, let me put it this way. Are we guilty about this?
Honestly, the reason a lot of people don't talk about it now is even spirituality is bracketed as extremely right wing. So even when we talk about spirituality on this show, you and me are bracketed as hyper right wing, therefore
I don't
automatically
think so.
anti-minority.
No way. My best students in Mumbai universities have been from Muslims and Christians.
Yeah.
I can even tell you that the problem is the way we introduce it. I have never introduced Chanakya from a religious perspective. For me, Chanakya was a strategist. And any particular person can be a strategist. It doesn't matter male or female or an old or a young or a religion or a not. Well, it doesn't matter. So the problem is how we put it.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'd probably like to end this particular
Sorry,
episode
sorry,
by just highlighting this whole religion aspect
Yeah.
again. See, I feel at the end of the day, it's not just the leadership at the top or the decisions at the top which govern a country. It's also the mentality of the people. It's what the people feel for each other. And
Yes.
you highlighted the south of India as a very
Yes.
strong part of
Yes.
India that
Yes.
stayed powerful even through the invasions. It was because people of all different religions were united.
Correct.
They had one single identity.
Correct.
So as long as we all learn to live in peace with each other and kind of, I believe, have a sports mentality throughout the country.
Yes.
For every Virat Kohli, you need a Mohammad Shami.
See, this country is a great balancer.
Yeah.
See, you cannot remove a community and say that, okay, we are going to be only this religion. It can't happen.
Yeah.
In fact, the beauty of this particular culture is that add on. और नया आएगा तो उसको भी ले लो.
Yeah.
You're right. So Virat Kohli requires a balancer also.
Yeah. And if you do feel hate towards a particular religion or a particular person from a religion because they're a part of a religion, understand that hate is first going to harm you. And then it'll go and harm what you're trying to harm. So get rid of the hate from your heart. That's probably the message we need to put out.
But get rid of the hate, but please debate. Our problem is that, okay, I know this, but I'm not trying to openly speak about it. We need to have lots of debates in this country.
Yeah.
And it has to be public debates, not just, television debates. Because television debate doesn't end up with anything logical.
And even understand a lot of the social media accounts you follow. It could be individual journalists. It could be different journalism portals. A lot of people have agendas, or a lot of people have a very strong sense of fear that they have built because of their own echo chambers, and you are absorbing bits of that fear into your own head.
And I'm proud to be from my religion, from my country, from my culture. So the other person also has the right.
Yeah.
But together we can learn and grow better.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important that, this whole generation coming back to the New Year agenda is looking at, let's look at the other perspective. It's not about right or wrong.
And
Maybe.
it's the Gen Z and Gen Alphas, the ones who were born after the year 2000.
Yes.
Hopefully that entire generation is deeply united and kind of takes India into like a...
And I'm very proud to be an Indian.
Yeah, 100% sir. 100%. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Lovely. Let's end this podcast. Radha sir.
Thank you. Sorry, I last में तो थोड़ा मैं अलग चला गया.
No, it's all good. It's all good. People need to hear conversations like this. Thank you for listening, everybody. Lots of love. So folks, that was the episode for today. Please tell me what you thought of it. Of course, we're going to go much deeper into this whole current affairs tangent. I want to know what you guys thought of this particular episode. Write in on social media. Tell us in the comment section. Of course, we're going to be covering all the hot topics that happen in India and in the world generally. We're going to be talking to intellectuals like Dr. Radha, people from the Indian military like G.D. Bakshi or Captain Raghu Raman. We're going to be talking to IPS officers like D. Shivanandan sir. So we've got access to these minds, and now it's your turn to help us build this podcast. Follow us on Spotify. Every episode's available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. Please tell us what other topics you'd like us to cover on the Ranveer Show. We want to build the podcast. We want to evolve it as time goes by. 2022 is a new beginning for us. You're going to see a very different TRS presented to you. Thanks for supporting. Always looking for your feedback.
बात करें अगर आज इस वीडियो के सेकंड हाफ की, तो मुझे इसमें जितनी भी डिस्कशन की गई है, बेशक वो एजुकेशन को, पॉलिटिक्स को, मिलिट्री को लेकर जिसको भी की गई है, सब बहुत अच्छी लगी मुझे।
इनफैक्ट एक आम नागरिक वाली अगर मैं बात करूं सेकंड पार्ट का, तो मुझे लगता है कि इट इज मोर इंटरेस्टिंग, क्योंकि इसमें बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें भी डिस्कस की गई जो मुझे लगता है जिस पर हम लोग ओपनली इतना ज्यादा डिस्कस नहीं करते।
हाँ।
वेल, जो लास्ट वाला पार्ट था उससे अगर मैं थोड़ा मतलब थोड़ा उसका कॉन्टेक्स्ट लूं तो ब्यूरोक्रेसी का उसमें भी डिस्कस किया गया था कि किस तरीके से एक कंट्री को रन किया जाता है, वो कौन कौन से पिलर्स होते हैं। अभी इसी की बात करें तो ब्यूरोक्रेट्स कैसे काम करते हैं। और हम लोगों ने पहले भी मुझे जब मैं वीडियो देख रही थी मुझे याद आ रहा था कि जब हम नितिन गडकरी जी की वीडियो देखते हैं और उसमें जो उनके प्रोजेक्ट्स किस तरीके से कंप्लीट होते हैं तो उसमें भी पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप का बहुत ज्यादा एक इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल रहता है। तो वो चीज इसमें भी डिस्कस की गई है एंड आई थिंक इट्स वेरी गुड कि आप इसको मतलब यूटिलाइज करते हो। आपके खुद की कंट्री में इस तरह के लोगों के लिए अपॉर्चुनिटीज बनती हैं कि जो कि लोगों को भी इन्वॉल्व करती हैं गवर्नमेंट के साथ कि किस किस तरीके से काम करते हैं और वो डिफरेंट सेक्टर्स में इन्वॉल्व रहते हैं।
यार अगर मैं मॉडर्न टाइम की बात करूँ ना, आजकल के वक्त में हमें जो ये चीज एक देखने को मिलती है पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप, अगर ये देखा जाए तो बहुत ज्यादा बेनिफिट रहती है, पब्लिक के लिए भी रहती है और जो है प्राइवेट सेक्टर के लिए भी रहती है, क्योंकि दोनों के पास ग्रो करने के, पैसे को सर्कुलेट करने के, इकोनॉमी को बूस्ट करने के, लोगों को रोजगार देने के बहुत ज्यादा आपको वो चांसेस मिलते हैं। तो अगर इस हिसाब से देखा जाए बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। ब्यूरोक्रेसी की अगर बात की जाए तो ब्यूरोक्रेसी जो है वो एक ऐसी जो है वो छड़ी है, आप छड़ी कह सकते हैं कि आप जिस साइड पे चीजों को घुमाएं चीजें उस साइड पे ही जा सकती हैं। बेशक वो आप पॉजिटिव साइड पे ले जाएं, बेशक वो आप नेगेटिव साइड पे ले जाएं, ब्यूरोक्रेसी एक ऐसी चीज है।
बट आई थिंक ब्यूरोक्रेट्स का बहुत इंटेलेक्चुअल होना, उनका रिस्पॉन्सिबल होना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। बिकॉज मैं जो ज्यादा चीजें नोटिस की हैं, इतना ज्यादा मेरा कभी मतलब कभी किसी ऐसे बंदे के साथ इंटरेक्ट तो नहीं हुआ, बट जहां तक मैं चीजें समझ पाई हूँ मुझे लगता है कि प्रॉब्लम ये आती है कि जब आपके पास पावर आती है ना एक बंदे के पास, तो उसका होता है कि हम हर चीज करें, मैं ही सारा इसका क्रेडिट ले लूं। तो ये वाला चीज और ये वाला एक कल्चर जो है ना, जब ये चेंज होगा, आप थोड़ा दिमाग को खुले दिमाग से सोचेंगे कि एज ए टीम वर्क हम काम करेंगे, काम और जल्दी होगा, मुल्क की बेहतरी के लिए क्या चीजें हम लोगों को करनी है, क्या डिसीजंस लेने, रादर देन कि हमें अपनी उस ईगो में रहना, नहीं मैं कहूंगा तो होगा। तो मुझे लगता है कि चीजें जो है वो धीरे धीरे बेहतर होती जाती हैं।
मैं यहाँ पर ये कहूंगा कि जहाँ पे आपने बात की ना कि एक बंदे वाली बात है, तो एक बंदा जो है वो कभी भी सारे काम नहीं कर सकता। उसे जो है एक टीम चाहिए होती, प्रॉपर टीम लोगों की, कि सब मिलकर जो है उसमें काम जो है वो अपनी अपनी जो उनके टास्क हैं उसे परफॉर्म कर सकें। अच्छा खैर, यहाँ पे मैं एक और बात करना चाहूंगा। बहुत देर पहले हमने जो है एक स्पेस वाली वीडियो देखी थी, तो उसमें मैंने कहा था कि जो है फ्यूचर में जो है स्पेस के लिए जो है यानी कि स्पेस वॉर टाइप हुआ करेगी, यानी कि जिसका स्पेस पे जो है ना ग्रिप ज्यादा मजबूत होगा वो जीतेगा। और ये मुझे मैंने बताया था मेरे एक मैंने एक वीडियो में देखा था, वीडियो में मैंने देखा था जो है यूट्यूब पे या देखा था या प्रोग्राम लगा हुआ था यूट्यूब पे, उस पे मैं देख रहा था कि उसमें जो शख्स था उसने कहा था कि फ्यूचर की वॉर जो है ना, जिस तरह की हम एक ट्रेडिशनल वॉर्स लड़ते आए हैं उस तरह की नहीं होगी, बल्कि जो है स्पेस होगी, उस पे जिस बंदे का डोमिनेंस वहां पे ज्यादा रहेगा वो ही जीतेगा। तो आज की अगर वीडियो में भी देखा जाए तो वो आपको काफी ज्यादा सुनने को मिली है कि स्पेस बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है।
साइबर वॉर जो है वो तो अभी भी हम देख रहे हैं कि वो तो एक तरह से चालू हो चुकी हुई है कि लोग यहाँ से मतलब किसी को बैश कर रहे हैं, वहां पर किसी की तरफ से फिर मतलब बात हो रही है।
टेक्नोलॉजी बेशक एक दूसरे की जो सेंसिटिव इंफॉर्मेशन है उन पे बहुत ज्यादा अटैक्स किए जा रहे हैं। बिल्कुल,
जो हम लोगों को लास्ट डेज में मतलब लास्ट ईयर में बहुत ज्यादा ऐसी चीजें सुनने को मिली। बट एक चीज जो मेरे लिए बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग थी और वो था स्वामी विवेकानंद जी का कहना कि बाय 2025 इंडिया जो है वो ग्लोबली एक पावर की तरह उभरेगा और उसका बड़ा एक इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल रहेगा। और वो आज हम देख सकते हैं। और आई वाज लाइक कि कैसे इतना देखो इतने टाइम पहले उन्होंने प्रिडिक्ट कर लिया था। और पता है क्या, देखो एक चीज मैं ये बात सोचती हूँ कि जब आप एक सफर में जाते हो ना, तो आपके रास्ते में बहुत सारी अड़चनें भी होती हैं। ऐसा नहीं होता कि सब कुछ स्मूथली चलता है, क्योंकि मैं ये चीज ऑब्जर्व करती हूँ कि जैसे लोगों की डिफरेंट ओपिनियंस होती हैं। अभी जैसे इंडिया एक एक हम नजर आ रहा है कि ग्लोबली उसका इम्पैक्ट अच्छा होता जा रहा है। जैसे राधे सर ने भी बोला कि अब लोग सुनते हैं, क्योंकि अब इम्पोर्टेंस और वैल्यू और जो एक रोटी कपड़ा मकान वाला सिस्टम है वहां से निकलकर लोग अब मार्केट्स जो है वो ग्रैब करते हैं, इन्वेस्टर्स जो हैं वो आते हैं, क्योंकि उनको एक सिक्योर उनके लिए लगता है उनकी इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए। तो मुझे ये लगता है कि लोगों की ना ओपिनियंस बड़ी जल्दी बन जाती हैं उसमें कि लोग कहते हैं नहीं देखो इन्होंने ऐसे पहले कहा था, ऐसा तो कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा। तो बट आई थिंक हम लोग को अपना माइंडसेट ये बनाने की जरूरत है कि हालात चेंज होते रहते हैं, ऊपर नीचे होता रहता है, बट ये कि क्या रास्ता सही हम लोगों ने चूज किया ये देखना बड़ा जरूरी है, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट पर हम लोग बहुत जल्दी और पॉलिटिशियन पर ब्लेम करना शुरू करते हैं।
देखें ये जो चीज होती है ना, आपके जो रूलिंग गवर्नमेंट होती है उस पर बहुत ज्यादा डिपेंड करता है कि उनमें जो लोग बैठे हुए हैं वो किस तरह के हैं। वो आया वो लोग हैं जो सारी पार्टी से मिलके आकर बैठ गए हैं, या वो लोग हैं जो उस पार्टी में बड़ी देर से चलते आ रहे हैं, वो अपनी पार्टी के साथ कितने लॉयल हैं, वो अपनी लोगों के साथ कितने लॉयल हैं, वो पहले क्या काम करते आए हैं। तो ये चीजें जो है बहुत ज्यादा डिपेंड करती हैं। बाकी नो डाउट बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसी होती हैं जो मुल्क के आपके जो बड़े बड़े अदारे होते हैं वो मिलके पॉलिसीज बनाते हैं, उन्हें चलाते हैं, लेकिन उससे भी बड़ी बात होती है कि उन सब अदारों को एक फॉर्म पर लाकर बिठाना, उनसे काम कराना, उन्हें इंस्ट्रक्शन देना कि भाई ये हमारा एजेंडा है, आपने इस पे जो है पॉलिसी बनानी है, आप मुल्क को इस राह पर लेकर जाना है।
बिल्कुल वही मेरी बात है कि मुल्क की बेहतरी के लिए आप डिसीजन लेते हैं। यानी कि जैसे हम लोग देखें तो पास में बहुत सारे ऑपोजिशन पार्टी से, जैसे कि हम मनमोहन सिंह जी की बात करें, इकोनॉमी से रिलेटेड उनसे भी डिस्कशंस की जाती थी कि मुल्क के लिहाज से क्या बेहतर हम फैसला कर सकते हैं, ये जो सिचुएशन है। तो मुझे लगता है ये चीज बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है और मुझे ये बड़ा अच्छा लगता है कि आप उस टाइम पर अगर आप की पार्टी पावर में है तो आप ये नहीं करते कि बस अब हमने अगर दूसरी पार्टी से पूछ लिया तो हमारी नाक कट जाएगी कि भाई हमारे पास कोई ऐसा बंदा नहीं है क्या। तो ये मैं बोलती हूँ कि अब जब आप एक सफर पर जाते हो ना तो आप टीम को लेकर चलते हो, सब लोगों को साथ लेकर चलते हो, तो वो चीजें बड़े आपके फेवर में रहती हैं, कंट्री के फेवर में अगर मैं बात करूं। और इसके अलावा मैं अगर बात करूं बाकी, जैसे आगे राधा सर ने एक पॉइंट हाईलाइट किया, मेरे लिए वैसे वो बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग था, ड्रग्स को लेकर। वो चीजें वाकई में हमें आज के टाइम में बहुत ज्यादा देखने को मिलती हैं। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि हमारी यूथ को ये चीजें समझनी चाहिए, क्योंकि अनफॉर्चुनेटली यहाँ पर बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसी मुझे भी देखने को मिलती हैं और नजर आती हैं, और सीरियसली मुझे बहुत दुख होता है, क्योंकि मैं पता नहीं क्यों, हालांकि मैं कभी किसी ऐसे बंदे, लेकिन मैं कभी छोटे उम्र के लड़के को, बहुत ही यंग जो लड़का होगा उसको मैं देखूंगी ना कि वो स्मोकिंग भी कर रहा है, तो मुझे उस पर भी दुख
यार ये जो चीज है ना, यानी कि आपका ड्रग्स का जो है वो शहर के अंदर आना, लोगों का उसको बेचना, ये जो है ना, जहां तक मैंने ऑब्जर्व किया है, जहां तक मैंने छोटी छोटी डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज देखी हुई हैं, उसके मुताबिक जो मेरी ओपिनियन बनी है कि आपके जो है ना, जो पॉलिटिशियंस हैं उनकी इन्वॉल्वमेंट के बगैर जो है ना ये काम नहीं हो सकती। यानी कि जो आपके माशरे में असर और रसूख वाले, यानी कि जिनका एक बहुत इम्पैक्ट है आपके माशरे में, जिनके कंट्रोल में आपके बहुत सारे इदारे जो हैं उसमें उसकी बात सुनी जाती है, उन लोगों का जो है ना जब वो होता है ना तो वो काफी ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट रहता है इस चीज पर। ड्रग्स की खास तौर पर मैं बात करूं,
मौजूद पता है क्या, मुझे ये लगता है कि ना एक प्रॉब्लम है हमारी यूथ में, हम लोग समझते हैं बड़ा कूल लगता है, ये मुझे जो मतलब एक माइंडसेट है ना, ये बहुत गलत लगता है कि हर वो चीज जो आपको नुकसान पहुंचा रही है वो बड़ी कूल लगती है। I mean, कुछ अर्से पहले अगर मैं देखूं इनिशियली तो तब शीशा पिया जाता था, ठीक है, लाहौर में,
फिर वेप्स भी आए,
बैन हो गया उसके बाद, और क्योंकि उसके अंदर आई थिंक नशा वगैरह डालकर देना शुरू हो गए थे, बहुत सारे कैफेज में ऐसा होता था। फिर उसके बाद पता नहीं अभी क्या वो एक पेन टाइप कुछ आ गया है,
हाँ, वेप कहते हैं उसे,
पता नहीं मुझे, वैसे इसमें भी जो नाम ले रहे थे मुझे पता तो नहीं है, बट ड्रग्स होती हैं, जरूरी नहीं है कि उसका नाम आ जाओ। बट इन शॉर्ट कहने का मतलब ये कि हम लोग अपनी नस्लों को तबाह कर रहे हैं इस तरीके से, और सिर्फ ये कि चंद पैसे कमाने के लिए, और जो नई नस्ल है उसको ये समझ में नहीं आ रही कि ये चीजें जो हैं इससे आप बिल्कुल भी कूल नहीं लगते। और क्योंकि मैं ऐसे लोगों को, ऐसी फैमिलीज को जानती हूँ, मतलब जिनके एक बेटा, और मतलब उनकी सारी जिंदगी इसी चक्कर में गुजर जाती है, घर बर्बाद हो जाते हैं इससे। तो पर्सनली मुझे बहुत इस चीज को लेकर दुख होता है।
अच्छा, यहाँ पर जो है एक और, जैसे बीच में मिलिट्री की बात की गई, नो डाउट हम जो है मिलिट्री को हमेशा एक ही पर्सपेक्टिव से देखते हैं, लेकिन ऑन दी अदर साइड हम देखें तो बहुत सारी जगहों पर जहां पर आपके सिविल अदारे जो हैं वो नहीं सर्विस दे पाते, नहीं पहुंच पाते, वहां पर फिर मिलिट्री पहुंच जाती है।
हाँ, वैसे हम तो बहुत ज्यादा देखते हैं,
हम तो बहुत ज्यादा देखते हैं
कि मतलब कोई भी होता है तो सबसे पहले मिलिट्री आई होती है। बट ये कि उसके अलावा मुझे लगता है कि वाकई में एक मौसम की बात ठीक है, हमेशा एक ही नजरिए से सोचते हैं उनके बारे में कि या तो वो हमें बॉर्डर्स पर नजर आएंगे या फिर वो हमें कोई मतलब जंग के मैदान में, मतलब जो एक हमारा सोच उनके बारे में। इसके अलावा भी उनकी बहुत ज्यादा सर्विसेज और एक्टिविटीज नो डाउट रहती हैं, बट उसके साथ हमें जोड़ा नहीं जाता। मुझे ये लगता है जहां से हम लोगों को पता नहीं चलता कि और क्या होता है। अच्छा, पहले की जो एक पॉलिटिक्स थी और अब की पॉलिटिक्स में मुझे ना एक बड़ा डिफरेंस नजर आता है, और वो ये कि पहले की पॉलिटिक्स में ये होता था कि आपको जो बस बताना चाहिए था, मतलब बताना वो चाहते थे, सिर्फ वही वहां तक ही बताया जाता था।
हाँ।
आज की पॉलिटिक्स में मुझे लगता है कि एडवांटेज ये होना शुरू हो गया थ्रू सोशल मीडिया और डिफरेंट प्लेटफॉर्म्स कि हम लोग और भी बहुत ज्यादा नॉलेज हम लोगों को मिलती है डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव से, और उसके साथ साथ डिफरेंट मीडियम से डिफरेंट लोगों की हम लोग बातें सुनते हैं, तो हम लोग को पता चलता है कि भाई ये भी हो रहा है। तो आई थिंक अभी चीजें छुपाना जो है ना वो बहुत मुश्किल
यार अब क्योंकि नो डाउट सोशल मीडिया का जो है वो जमाना है, तो क्या नाम लेते हैं, कोई छोटी सी भी बात होती है वो भी जो है फौरन वायरल होना शुरू हो जाती है। तो ये चीज जो है सोशल मीडिया जो है ये जो है एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले किया हुआ है इस चीज में कि इंफॉर्मेशन आप छोटी सी कोई बात हो तो वो जो है आप लोगों को बताने में बहुत आसानी होती है। पुराने वक्तों में जो चीजें थी, या तो क्या नाम लेते हैं कि बहुत पीछे चले जाइए, जब टेक्नोलॉजी इतनी ज्यादा नहीं थी आम, या तो कबूतर होते थे या आपके वो डाक होती थी जो लोग लेकर यानी वही ना, या आपकी
होते थे कबूतर यार,
नहीं रियल लाइफ में भी कबूतर इस्तेमाल होते थे यार। और या जो है आपके जो फरमान लेकर जो लोग जाते थे वो होते थे थोड़ी। और जब जमाना बदला, टेक्नोलॉजी आई, तो जो है फिर टीवी आए, लेकिन टीवी एक बहुत महदूद टाइम के लिए उस टाइम चलता था, यानी कि कुछ टाइम के लिए प्रोग्राम्स आते थे, खबरनामा होता था, फिर इसके बाद वो खत्म। लेकिन जैसे जैसे टाइम एडवांस होता गया, इंटरनेट आया, मोबाइल्स आए, फिर उसके बाद डिफरेंट सोशल प्लेटफॉर्म्स आए, तो उसके आने के बाद जिस तरह एक वो जो चीजें थी ना जो पहले छुपा ली जाती थी, अब वो छुपाई नहीं जा सकती।
बिल्कुल। अच्छा, न्यूज़पेपर को लेकर मैं बस एक बात बोलना चाहूंगी कि जब हम लोग छोटे हुआ करते थे तो हम लोगों को भी ये कहा जाता था कि न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ो, क्योंकि उससे आपकी एक तो वोकैबुलरी बहुत अच्छी होती है, और दूसरा ये कि आपका नॉलेज जो है ना वो ज्यादा अच्छा रहता है। आई डोंट नो, बट मतलब मैं ये बात देखती हूँ कि ये चीजें अभी तक हम लोग चाहे जितने मर्जी एडवांस हो जाएं, बट वो चीजें कहीं ना कहीं पे अभी भी हमारी जिंदगी पर असर रखती हैं अगर हम उसको फॉलो करें। और सर राधा की एक बात से तो मैं 100% एग्री करती हूँ कि ये जो मतलब हम हमारे जितने भी बड़े होते हैं, आई डोंट नो कि जब वो इस एज में जाना शुरू हो जाते हैं ना, लाइक 60
स्पिरिचुअल होना शुरू हो जाते हैं,
तो एकदम से मुझे याद आ जाता है कि अब हम लोगों को ना बस यही काम करना है। मैं इसके अगेंस्ट नहीं,
मोक्ष भी तो चाहिए ना।
बट मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर आप इसको अर्ली लाइफ में ही अपनी एक हैबिट बनाना शुरू कर देते हो ना, तो फिर बच्चों को आपको कहने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, क्योंकि बच्चे जो है वो आपको जो प्रैक्टिस है उसको देख देख कर ही चीजें फॉलो करना शुरू हो जाते हैं। एंड सेकेंड थिंग, स्पिरिचुअलिज्म क्या है, स्पिरिचुअल आप कैसे हो सकते हैं, मुझे लगता है इसको बहुत ओपनली डिस्कस करना चाहिए, क्योंकि हम बड़ा लिमिटेड चीजों में बाउंड्री सेट कर कर इस चीज को लोगों को, बच्चों को स्पेशली समझाते हैं। तो आई थिंक इन चीजों में सारे ना हम लोगों को, ये वैसे भी एक इतना मैं कहूंगी कि एक ओशन है कि आप इसको जितना समझना चाहेंगे, जितना इसमें डूबना चाहेंगे, आपको उतना ही मजा आएगा और आप उतनी ज्यादा चीजें सीखेंगे। तो मुझे लगता है कि ये राइट वे में जाना बहुत जरूरी है, और हमारे बड़ों को कहीं ना कहीं पर ये चीज, इंक्लूडिंग हम भी अपने बच्चों के लिए, क्योंकि मैं हमेशा ये बात होती है कि हम बच्चों को वो बात की नसीहत तो कर देते हैं कि भाई ये करो, बट हम खुद वो कर नहीं रहे होते। तो बच्चे हमेशा वो चीज करते हैं जो आपको देखते हैं। तो ये तो थी हमारी आज की वीडियो। आई होप आपको अच्छी लगी होगी। बीच में कोई अगर पॉइंट मिस हो गया होगा, क्योंकि वीडियो काफी ज्यादा लंबी होती है, तो आई थिंक कुछ ना कुछ तो मिस हो ही जाता है कोई पॉइंट। तो आप जरूर बताइएगा कमेंट सेक्शन में आपका क्या कहना है, क्या सोचना है। और इसी के साथ हमें ज्यादा वीडियो
लाइक, सब्सक्राइब, शेयर।
गुड
बाय।